The power of details. So details are an essential part of focused practice, and you should watch this video if you want to master a skill by concentrating on the details. In this video, I'm going to talk about how an attention to detail can make you really much better in all sorts of skills. Things like video production, making promotion videos and promotional content, podcasting, and in fact any kind of skill that you simply want to get better at. My name is David. I believe that our spirit or energy or mindset need to be managed every day. This is what holds us back or pushes us forward. And the Spirit and Action YouTube channel is a channel that helps you focus on your intentions and cut through the distractions of life. If you want to find focus and fulfillment and create a lifestyle that aligns with your attentions, then just join this channel by subscribing. There are practical tips and strategies, reviews and inspiration all ready for you to watch. Now, let's get back to the main idea of this video, which is that if you want to improve on a skill, then it is useful to pay attention to details. Let's talk about the power of details first, and then I'd like to suggest 3 prompts that will help you go forward with this. So, stick around. When you want to master something, the first thing you need to do is just get started and actually start doing the thing that you are trying to master. Even if you are a beginner and it's kind of really difficult and awkward, you need to start somewhere. Once you have started, then you will start realizing that there are certain points, certain actions that you need to take in order to do better. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about the details, the individual actions associated with a task or project. As a beginner, when you first start out, the details are quite big or wide, if you like. However, as you practice and get more repetitions in, then you start to notice more and more finer points that you need to cover in your performance. So, with expertise, the details get more detailed. Let's just talk about a couple of examples to illustrate this. So, if you think about a professional tennis player, they are able to look at their opponent and judge their opponent's body language even before they hit the ball in a serve. And that reading of the body language tells them where the ball is going to go and probably how fast it is likely to be. As a beginner, you are blind to these things. However, as you practice and keep on playing against someone, you begin to see some signs that will give you clues about where your opponent is going to serve. Another example might be in video production, making videos for YouTube. You might start out as a beginner with the basics of just getting the sound right and the camera properly set up, and you're putting yourself in the frame, the basic parameters. But then, as you make more videos, you start to think about things beyond that. You start to think about how you are going to start your video, how you are going to end your video, how you are going to speak to the camera and combine script with natural speech to make sure that your video communicates authentically. So the point here is to get started and then track the details as you go. Now, notice that tracking the details is basically a never-ending process, because you will notice more and more detailed action points that you need to cover as you become more proficient in the task. Now, let's look at a couple of prompts that will help you to go forward and use details to improve. The first prompt then is to look at your current level of ability. What are my performance metrics at my current level of ability? And of course here you need to look at each task that you do, and then perhaps once you've done the task, sit down and just kind of go through the process in your mind and try and break it down into individual actions that you perform in completing it. Let's just look at another sport example here, and for this one we'll talk about making penalty kicks in football or soccer. When you start out trying to kick penalties, you'll realise that your first task is simply to kick the ball on target. And then once you can do that, you'll notice that the next task is to maybe control the speed of the ball and try and kick it stronger and faster and on target. Once you get better at controlling the speed and strength of your kick, then you might start looking at your run-up and how you might show some decoys or deceive the goalie in your run-up as well. And then you can see that this task progresses into more and more detail. So the next prompt is, what metrics should I be looking at next? And this is kind of looking forward into better proficiency and thinking what areas you need to look at and you need to improve on as you become better and better. As we saw in the penalty kicking example, once you know that you are pretty consistent on kicking the ball on target, then you need to know the next step is probably to practice the speed and strength of your kick. And then you also know that the next step, as well as speed and strength, is perhaps controlling the ball on the ground and trying to kick penalties that are low and strong and wide. And then also the next step is also, as we mentioned, to see if you can deceive the goalkeeper in your run-up. Once you can do all of these things, you might well notice other little micro steps that you can master in order to make your penalty kicking even better. Now, prompt number 3 is to look at the masters in your field, in the area that you are trying to work on, and see how they do things. So the question is, what metrics do the professionals use? This is where you can look at the famous people who are considered masters in the area and just observe how they perform and the kind of actions that they take. It's worth even getting a notebook out and making a little list of things that they do really well. Now, you might also learn these things in books, but quite often your own observations on examples of high quality delivery can be really useful and be a really powerful learning point. So there we go. That's why and how a focus on details can be useful to you. Let's just summarize some of the main points that we've covered in this video. First, get started on the work. If you don't get started, you don't really know what you need to do. Even if it is you are a complete beginner, it doesn't matter, just get started. Once you have started, then you will be able to break down the steps involved in the task. Identify especially the steps that will lead to improvement. And also remember that this whole step will be an ongoing process where the steps for improvement become finer and more detailed. So with this point, it is always worth being patient. Lastly, observe the professionals and ask yourself, am I missing any tricks? How do the masters achieve each step in the process? All right, so let me know in the comments, do you like focusing on details, or do you find it really a bit frustrating to see the details in various tasks? If you like this video, take a look at some of the others in the Weekly Mindset series, where we look at 3 prompts that will help you improve your mindset and focus on better actions. So, thanks very much for staying with me on this video. Have a fantastic day, afternoon, evening, weekend, whatever you're doing. I'll see you in the next one.